What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. I first want to apologize to everyone who I intended to call today, Sunday. My day was a complete and total catastrophe. In fact, I'm just getting in. It's about 6:30 in the evening, and I literally had to start saying, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, just like incessantly. Because as bad as my day was, I had to put in my visual mind, came to me a clip that I showed you last evening in our sitting of a lady who had just lost her son Ibrahim, young child, and there she was giving glory and praise to Allah. And I just reminded myself that for everything that happened to me today, it was nowhere near what happened to this lady. And if she can give glory and praise to Allah, then it is a strong and stark reminder to me as a Muslim to follow that same example. Indeed, that is the way of the Muslim. But I do apologize to everyone who I intended to make contact with today. Please forgive me. I also realize that I can't wait to show you this because I mentioned it in our sitting last evening. If this goes to propaganda, it goes to the desperate attempts that the Zionists are making now to try to offer something in the way of evidence to show that there is even anything happening on the Israeli side of this Holocaust, this extermination of Palestinians. As you know, the thrust of my video before our live stream last night was and has been since 7th October. My charge and my indictment has been that they've shown us no evidence that there was any event that even happened on the Israeli side on 7th October. Nothing at all. They keep telling us about, oh my God, babies with their heads cut off and people being burned alive and they were going door to door raping people and we cannot go on. But we haven't seen a single shred of evidence of any of this. All we've seen is burned out cars. That's it. We ain't seen no buildings in rubble. We ain't seen no victims. We've seen no bodies being dug out or carried out or the walking dead. We've not seen anything at all. Nothing. And so this is an attempt now to try to up the ire that there's something going on and Israel's being attacked. But they're not. They're not. So I want to punctuate this by going through this short clip of fake ass bitch made Zionist fucks on the Israeli side, the press, who are now staging as if there's been some attack. I'll take you through this forensically in order to prove my indictment, and I'll contrast that with what an actual rocket strike looks like. So let's begin now. We'll just go through this. All right, this is Fox News, the bastion of all things truthful and holy. All right, let us begin. First thing you hear is a siren. All right, That is to up the anxiety and the adrenaline in the viewer. And as I've taught you over the years, they're giving you a shaky camera. All right? A shaky camera. That's always part of the propaganda. Let's go on.
Guys, we can hear a direct impact. Guys, we can hear a direct.
The heavy breathing. He's out of, guys, he's out of breath. Notice the atmospherics around him. Notice how he's acting in contrast to how everybody around him is acting. It's very important.
Guys, we can hear a direct impact. A rocket just slammed into the building right next.
He said a rocket just slammed into the building next
to where we're at.
Next to where we're at. Hear that again. A rocket just slammed into the building next to where we're at.
Guys, we can hear a direct impact. A rocket just slammed into the building right next to where we're at.
Right next to where we're at. So just on that claim alone, we see no smoke. We see no fire. We see no rubble. We don't even see anyone who looks like they're checking themselves to see if they were hit by debris or shrapnel. But he just proclaimed that a rocket hit right in the building next to where they're standing. Let's continue.
Guys, we can hear a direct impact. A rocket just slammed into the building right next to where we're at.
We could hear the direct impact. I'm being very specific about this, everybody, because all these details become very important. That's why I want to highlight every single point. Stay with me.
We can hear a direct impact. A rocket just slammed into the building right next to where we're at. You can see.
Look at now. Everybody else, you have a whole row of paparazzi and press people stationary, standing, and with all their cameras pointed in the same direction. He seems to be the only people on the move. Let's continue.
Into the building right next to where we're at. You can see soldiers just arrived on the scene.
You can see soldiers just arrived on the scene, plural. You can see soldiers just arrived on the scene. We see one guy who is a soldier. He said soldiers.
Where we're at. You can see soldiers just arrived on the scene.
Now, thus far, we see no damage. We see this black Chevy here with a broken window in the back. And we also notice the glass on it is directly beneath the back bumper. Directly beneath the back bumper. Not over here, not on this other car, not just only the back window and right beneath the back bumper. Let's go on.
Soldiers just arrived on the scene.
And the big heading here on the screen. Fox team in Israel flees from Hamas strikes. Strikes plural. Flees from Hamas strikes plural. Fox team in Israel flees from Hamas strikes plural. All right? Stay with me. When the Jedi speaks, you learn. And we'll pay close attention to these because I didn't realize it was changing. Israel troops in close combat with Hamas in Gaza.
Soldiers just arrived on the scene. So guys, I just want to give you a little bit of...
Again, he's still using the I'm out of breath. Okay, so guys, I just want to give you... In fact, I'm under attack, so I should be breathing hard right now, everybody. So, all right, we're going to take it back and go on.
So guys, I just want to give you a little bit of what the situation was here. Walk with me, Navy off. Okay, so just a moment ago, sirens were sounding. We followed our plan. We got straight to cover.
Sirens were sounding. We followed our plan and got straight to cover.
Sirens were sounding. We followed our plan. We got straight to cover. And then we heard a loud explosion.
A moment ago, he said they heard a rocket strike at the building next to where they were standing. Now he says we heard an explosion.
We followed our plan. We got straight to cover. And then we heard a loud explosion. Rocking the ground right next to us.
So apparently there's a separation in the ground. And so, but it wouldn't rock their side. It was rocking the ground next to us. His language, not mine. Let's continue.
Plan. We got straight to cover. And then we heard a loud explosion rocking the ground right next to us. It appears there has been a direct impact.
It appears there's been a direct impact. There's been a direct impact.
This was not intercepted. It was a massive explosion.
Massive explosion is his categorizing.
And you can see the car right there has some damage. It appears there are...
That looks like bullet holes to me. And you can see the car right there has some damage. Okay.
The car right there has some damage. It appears there are no casualties. As if it's such a chaotic scene that we simply would not know at this moment if there's casualties, because there's so much going on. We just don't know. This is very close to where reporters have been covering the situation along the border. And there's some sort of siren from inside the building going.
So now there's the sirens from inside the building. Now there's a siren from somewhere inside the building. And again, based on everything he's told us so far, this loud explosion, and we don't know if there's casualties. It appears there's no casualties at this point. But again, we don't see any smoke. We see no fire. We see no one covered in dust. Nothing that would suggest that any event took place here. But I'm sure he's going to show us something. So let us go on.
This was not intercepted. It was a massive explosion.
Massive explosion.
And you can see the car right there has some damage. It appears there are no casualties, but this is very close to where reporters have been.
And again, remember, the paparazzi are all just still standing there. He's the only one that seems to be roving and out of breath and all excited.
It appears there are no casualties, but this is very close to...
Everybody's in their same group right there.
Where reporters have been covering the situation along the border. And there's some sort of siren from inside the building going off. And just pan here, excuse me, sir. And you can see this car here has some damage too.
Again, a broken window. They have just one. This is the same one that had the back broken window as well. All right. Again, if the window is going to be broken from a loud explosion, that would be a concussion. So a concussion is going to blow windows out. And we would presume all of them. But alas, we have this back driver window and the very back window.
And just pan here, excuse me, sir. And you can see this car here has some damage to it. This is all very fresh.
This is all very fresh, he said.
Just a moment ago. So let me take you through what happened here, guys.
Now he's going to take us through what happened. He said a moment ago. Let me take you through what happened.
We're right along the Israel-Gaza border. This area has not been taking much fire recently, but we saw something coming off the Gaza Strip. Sirens sounded. You have about 10 seconds to get.
So now we saw something coming off the Gaza Strip. At the beginning, he said that there was a strike and the building next to where they were standing, that it was a massive explosion. Now he is inventing that we saw something coming off the Gaza Strip, that they saw it. But also notice his overall demeanor when he says, let me just take you through what's happened here. He's now creating a story.
So let me take you through what happened here, guys. We're right along the Israel-Gaza border. This area has not been taking much fire recently.
Has not been taking much fire recently, as if they're in such a strike zone. But recently we've not been taking much fire. But the surroundings do not reflect any past strikes at all.
But we saw something coming off the Gaza Strip. Sirens sounded. You have about 10 seconds to get to cover here.
We saw something coming off the Gaza Strip. You have 10 seconds to get to cover.
Sirens sounded. You have about 10 seconds to get to cover here. I'm a little out of breath because we ran straight to cover.
See, again, now he highlights the fact that he's out of breath. Again, a little out of breath because we ran straight to cover.
I'm a little out of breath because we ran straight to cover.
And he's, what is he, 20? He's not 60. He's not 70. He's young. We're how many? We're a minute and a half in, and he's not caught his breath yet. And now he's highlighting that he's out of breath.
You have about 10 seconds to get to cover here. I'm a little out of breath because we ran straight to cover. Something slipped past Israel's missile defense system, and it slammed into the ground.
It slammed into the ground.
We're not sure what sort of damage was done to the building.
We're not sure what sort of damage was done to the building. He said it was a massive explosion in the building next to where they were standing. Even told us the ground next to them shook, the ground next to them. Now, we're not sure. We'll just hear that again.
Something slipped past Israel's missile defense system, and it slammed into the ground. We're not sure what sort of damage was done to the building.
We're not sure what sort of damage was done to the building, even though it was a massive explosion, according to him. And now he's peering through the fence, trying to find this evidence of damage from this massive explosion that you wouldn't have to be peering through bars to try and find it.
And this building right here, it's the same building we've been next to. It's a
Now, this is the same building we've been next to, he said. So, he's told us that it struck the building next to him at the very beginning of the report. We'll just hear that again.
We can hear a direct impact. A rocket just slammed into the building right next to where we're at.
Right next to where we're at. All right?
And this building right here, it's the same building we've been next to. It's a kindergarten.
It's the same building we've been next to. It's a kindergarten.
Actually, that was hit.
That was hit. He's affirmed now the building that they've been standing next to, that he said from the beginning of the report, that was hit. Excuse me. Now they've identified that it's a kindergarten building and that it was hit.
And this building right here, it's the same building we've been next to. It's a kindergarten, actually, that was hit.
It's a kindergarten that was hit.
There were no students inside. It's nighttime and it's also Shabbat.
Boom. It's nighttime. Of course there's no students. Then he drops this, it's Shabbat. Remember, he's a Zionist, white supremacist, pig devil. You see? Then he throws this, it's Shabbat, trying to throw you something so, ooh, because remember, your whole perception of this shit stain in the desert is that it's some remarkably holy place for these white Zionist Jews, these demon murderers, you see? So he throws that, it's Shabbat. So it was one of their holy days. And oh my God, what Hamas is doing. You see? Let's go on.
And this building right here, it's the same building we've been next to. It's a kindergarten, actually, that was hit. There were no students inside. It's nighttime, and it's also Shabbat. But a lot of journalists around here. Again, no casualties, but quite a...
Again, no casualties, but no damage either. This massive explosion that he described it. Again, no casualties. Well, of course not.
But a lot of journalists around here. Again, no casualties, but quite a lot of shrapnel in this area.
A lot of shrapnel in this area. Where? See how he goes to his ear now. Immediately goes to the ear because he's run out of lies to produce. So that hand on the ear was to cue the person in the studio to engage him now. They didn't have a question. He's a minute 57 seconds in, so we'll call it 2 minutes. He's 2 minutes into his report.
But a lot of journalists around here. Again, no casualties, but quite a lot of shrapnel in this area.
See?
Ray, how many yards from you did that rocket land?
She said, how many yards from you did that rocket land? Listen to the language, everybody. Language. As I always tell you, one of the magic acts this white devil is good at is having you not see what is right in front of you. Listen now. She says, how many yards?
Ray, how many yards from you did that rocket land?
How many yards from you did that rocket land?
I mean, that was pretty close.
Yeah, this landed just maybe 100 feet from where we were standing.
100 feet, everybody. But we just saw him a moment ago looking through the bars, trying to see if there was damage. All he had to do was turn around and say, well, it was right here at this kindergarten. Why did he turn around and say, well, I don't know what her name is, so, whore, it's this building, this kindergarten building right behind me. We'll just pan so that the cameraman can get a shot. That would be the answer, but it's not. Let's see the sequence again.
Ray, how many yards from you did that rocket land? I mean, that was pretty close.
Yeah, this landed just maybe 100 feet from where.
100 feet. I'm going to show you in a moment what that should have looked like. Let's go on. But he said 100 feet, but he's identified the building behind him is where it landed. So why is he looking out in the parking lot, looking around like it'll appear out of a puff of dust someplace instead of turning around and said it was right here at this kindergarten building? Let's go on.
Yeah, this landed just maybe 100 feet from where we were standing. But again,
100 feet. Does everybody inside of my voice know what 100 feet looks like? 100 feet. So even in this shot, we'll wait till the camera pans.
Maybe 100 feet from.
So maybe back here, where these, if you could see my green cursor, maybe back there, somewhere at that building. Maybe that's 100 feet. Maybe, it may be more than that actually. But we'll say that's at least 100 feet. All right? Let's go on.
Where we were standing. But again, we have safety protocols in place. And so when something like this happens, we've already discussed what to do. So you'll notice we were about to come on air, and we couldn't actually see that round come off the Gaza Strip.
Just a second. We actually could not see that round come off the Gaza Strip. Hear that again, because he told us we saw something come off the Gaza Strip and we had 10 seconds to get to cover. Hear him say that again.
And we couldn't actually see that round come off the Gaza Strip.
We could not see that round come off the Gaza Strip.
But we saw something coming off the Gaza Strip.
We saw something coming off the Gaza Strip. We saw something coming off the Gaza Strip. We'll hear that just again.
We saw something coming off the Gaza Strip.
Boom. We saw something coming off the Gaza Strip, said the Zionist whore.
You'll notice we were about to come on air, and we couldn't actually see that round come off the Gaza Strip.
We actually could not see that round come off the Gaza Strip. That's a direct lie. All right? As is everything. But let us continue.
It may have been mortar fire.
It may have been mortar fire, but he's already said that it was a rocket. She asked him, how far from you did the rocket hit? Now, he's not even sure if it was a rocket or mortar fire. You see? When you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory, because it comes out exactly the same every single time you pronounce it. But when you're a lying Zionist fuck, this is what happens. You see?
We've already discussed what to do. So you'll notice we were about to come on air, and we couldn't actually see that round come off the Gaza Strip. It may have been mortar fire.
And now it may have been mortar fire. It could have been the Tooth Fairy. We just don't know what it was now.
Still not able to establish if it was a small rocket or if it was a mortar. But immediately the siren sounded here. You have just a few seconds to get to cover, so we didn't even pick the camera off. We got immediately to cover.
So we didn't even take the camera off. We got immediately to cover. So now I'm sure you're going to break in and show us what the camera recorded.
The siren sounded here. You have just a few seconds to get to cover, so we didn't even pick the camera off.
We didn't even pick the camera off. Pick the camera off.
We got immediately to cover.
We got immediately to cover.
Our entire crew was in cover, but our colleagues that we are close with were next to us. They were not in cover. Again, no.
Our entire crew was in cover, but apparently all these other people weren't in cover. Just like he's the only one out there who's out of breath and cannot go on. You see? He wants to create this image in your mind that they were running for their lives. They were diving for cover. They saw this mortar or this rocket or the Tooth Fairy or Santa's sleigh come off the Gaza Strip. And then we couldn't see it come off the Gaza Strip. And we don't know if it was a rocket or mortar fire.
We have just a few seconds to get to cover, so we didn't even pick the camera off. We got immediately to cover. Our entire crew was in cover, but our colleagues that we are close with were next to us. They were not in cover. Again, no one was hurt here. There are no casualties from what we can see.
I mean, they look like they're gathered waiting for, Celine Dion or Michael Jackson or the Jedi or some huge famous person. And look at all the paparazzi, you see. Let's go on.
They were not in cover. Again, no one was hurt here. There are no casualties from what we can see. But all of the journalists that you see around, this is an area where journalists have been reporting. And if you just look at the ground here, some of the glass.
Now, that same car, the glass directly below the window in a pile. Not blown, but in a pile. All of it's accounted for. Right there. You could just assemble all the pieces and glue it together and put it right back up to make it fit. All of it right beneath the window. Just like in the earlier shot of the back of this car, we see that the back window is blown out and all the glass is directly below the broken window.
From these cars, and
Look.
if I can just step in front of you here, Yaniv, you can see some of the shrapnel marks
You can see some of the shrapnel marks now.
in the side of this car here. Let these reporters get out of the way.
So, if the shrapnel is in here, that means that the projectile, it must have been projected from somewhere behind where he is standing. So that if we found shrapnel on the other side of the car, you've got a problem. So, this is where he's showing and proclaiming that this is where the shrapnel went in. All right? It's just all riddled with shrapnel.
Step in front of you here, Yaniv. You can see some of the shrapnel marks.
So we have to ask then, how does the back window get broken? If the trajectory is coming from this way, from left to right, how does the back window on this car get damaged? Let's go on. Again, nice little pile of glass right beneath the broken window.
And if I can just step in front of you here, Yaniv, you can see some of the shrapnel marks in the side of this car here.
So he should be able to turn around, do an about face. And because he said it was a massive explosion of this rocket hitting the ground and rocking the ground next to them was his language. So if he turns around, we should be able to see something, some smoke in the distance, some fire in the distance, a damaged building in the distance, rubble. We don't have it.
Reporters, get out of the way. That's shrapnel, and you can see that cut right through a car. And so if it can cut through a car, it can certainly injure and kill people.
Wow, thanks for telling us that. If shrapnel can go through a car, it can go through a human being. I had no clue of that. I'm so glad that he took the time to educate us about that most important fact for humanity. Let's go on.
Through a car, it can certainly injure and kill people. I also want to have Yaniv, my cameraman, pan in here. If you look at the side of this building here, there's a green wall. And on that wall, there are huge shrapnel marks.
Huge shrapnel marks. So, look at where they're at. Look at where the building is standing. And contrast that to then, how do we get this window broken? With the same shrapnel.
Can certainly injure and kill.
Because if it hit that and the building, then these are indications of where this explosion, in high quotations, would have been coming from.
People. I also want to have Yaniv, my cameraman, pan in here. If you look at the side of this building here, there's a green wall. And on that wall, there are huge shrapnel marks all up and down the wall. And just an indication that...
Huge shrapnel marks. Is there anyone under the sound of my voice that would describe this as huge? Is that huge, everybody? And he said all over this wall. Let me get the language direct. We'll hear it again.
Here, there's a green wall. And on that wall, there are huge shrapnel marks all up and down the wall.
All up and down the wall is the language. Where?
And just an indication.
All up and down. Where is it? Where he said all up and down.
That the shrapnel.
We're not seeing it.
This area.
All up and down. Do you understand? All up and down, everybody.
And just an indication that the shrapnel hit this area and was spread out. And we're just going to shine the light in there so you can see it.
That's the end. They're all at one car. Nobody's looking for the crater that it would have left. Nobody's why isn't the paparazzi all flooding around that fence, trying to peer in to see any damage, smoke, fire, anything? But no, let's all be around this one black car. You got 1,000 reporters and camera people around one fucking broken window.
From these cars, and if I could just step in front of you here, Yaniv.
Let's see now what it should look like when a rocket strikes 100 feet from you and hits a kindergarten fucking building. Pay very close attention now. Smoke. Lots of it. Lots of smoke. And we'll say that this camera view is maybe we'll say 50 feet. 40. We'll say 40 or 50 feet. All right? And he said it was just moments ago. So we should still have at least smoke in the air, at the very least. At the very least, we should have smoke in the air. We will contrast this now. We see no smoke in the air.
Guys, we can hear a direct impact.
See no smoke in the air.
A rocket just slammed into the building right next to where we're at.
And he has said that it was the green, that building that has the kindergarten building that happens to also have this green wall as part of its structure.
You can see soldiers just arrived on the scene.
Everybody's filming in one direction. One direction.
Guys, we can hear a direct impact. A rocket just slammed into the building right next to where we're at. You can see soldiers just
Everybody's in the same place.
arrived on the scene. So guys, I just want to give you a little bit of what the situation was here. Walk with me, Navy off. Okay, so just a moment ago, sirens were sounding. We followed our plan.
Where's the smoke, everybody? He said moments ago. He's been saying that moments ago. And they dove they went to cover. Where'd you cover?
We got straight to cover. And then we heard a loud explosion rocking the ground right next to us. It appears there has been a direct impact.
It appears there's been a direct impact that we are not filming or trying to find at fucking all.
This was not intercepted. It was a massive explosion.
It was a massive explosion from which produced absolutely no dust, rubble, or fire.
And you can see the car right there has some damage. It appears there are no casualties, but this is very close.
It appears there's no casualties, since we're standing right at the impact point and we're digging through the rubble to see if there's anybody unaccounted for. And we're going around and asking everybody, is everybody here? Is everybody okay?
We saw something coming off the Gaza Strip. Sirens sounded. You have about 10 seconds to get to cover here. I'm a little out of breath because we ran straight to cover.
10 seconds to get to cover. So if you got there within the 10 seconds required, where's your cover place? Because it should be right here someplace, because wherever it is, it's 10 seconds from where they're all at. Where is it?
Something slipped past Israel's missile defense system, and it slammed into the ground. We're not sure what sort of damage was done to the building.
We're not sure what type of damage was done to the building that we're not looking for.
And this building right here, it's the same building we've been next to. It's a kindergarten, actually, that was hit. There were no students inside. It's nighttime, and it's also Shabbat. But a lot of journalists around here. Again, no casualties, but quite a lot of shrapnel in this area.
Quite a lot of shrapnel in this area that we don't have any evidence of.
From you, did that rocket land? I mean, that was pretty close.
Yeah, this landed just maybe 100 feet from where we were standing.
Just maybe 100 feet from where we were standing. But you said that you had gotten to cover. So you wouldn't be standing if you've gone to cover. So, not understanding.
This landed just maybe 100 feet from where we were standing.
But we're not going, now that it's clear, we're not going that 100 feet to see what hit and what damage it left. Only 100 feet from us.
We couldn't actually see that round come off the Gaza Strip, and it may have been mortar fire. We're still not able to establish if it was a small rocket or if it was a mortar.
And we're not going to go the 100 feet to investigate wherever it allegedly hit to find out what damage was done and what caused the damage, because we're way too far from it. We'd have to have helicopters and we'd have to be airlifted 100 feet from us.
We got immediately to cover. Our entire crew was in cover, but our colleagues that we are close with were next to us. They were not in cover. Again,
they were not in cover, and none of them are covered with dust or hit by shrapnel or anything of that nature 100 feet from us.
No one was hurt here. There are no casualties from what we can see. But all of the journalists that you see around, this is an area where journalists have been reporting.
And apparently it only hit the car because every journalist on the planet is now around a tiny little black Chevrolet.
Just look at the ground here.
Not at wherever we would suspect the impact zone was.
Some of the glass from these cars.
We can't go and check that because, for the love of God, as I've told you, it's way too far from our location. It's 100 feet.
I also want to have Yaniv, my cameraman, pan in here. If you look at the side of this building here, there's a green wall. And on that wall, there are huge shrapnel marks all up and down the wall. And just an indication.
All up and down the wall. Because what looks like bullet holes is the entire wall, everybody. If you don't understand that, then you need to go back and be reborn and learn. When he says all up and down the wall, damn it, he means it. Look, it's all up and down the wall. I could barely tell what the wall looked like or that it's even a wall because of all the shrapnel that's up and down the wall. I can't tell. There's way too much shrapnel. I can't tell right now. There's way too much shrapnel.
Hit this area and was spread out. And we're just going to shine the light in there so you can see it.
Something else that I noticed, everybody, is that in this entire area where they're at, the only car that is parked the wrong way, opposite direction all the other cars are facing, is the one that is allegedly hit by this elusive shrapnel. You see, look at these cars over there on the left, because they're in like a cul-de-sac type thing. It feels like they're in sort of like a cul-de-sac type thing. But you see the cars there. All right? Look. To the left, further down, like going out of the cul-de-sac, between these two cameramen on the right. You see? Again, consistent. Then you look over to the left, all the cars are coming, like they would be coming around to go that way. But notice that all of them are faced the same way, except for, oh my God, the smallest car there, and it's turned parked the wrong way. Not only that, as Dr. King would say, but is also the one that's not really fully parked correctly. You see what I'm saying? Like everybody else, you could tell they made an attempt to just kind of line it up a little bit to the curve, but no. So this one, it has an awkward parking, as well as it's the only one that was hit by anything. They gave us the 2 little fake bullet holes in the white SUV right there, but we're striking that. That don't count. We're not acknowledging that. Do you understand? This did not get past the eye of the Jedi. And so once he gets over to this, a little further over, and then they pan around, then you'll be able to see, I'll present my evidence even further. You see, there's the suspect car, we're calling it. All right. You see, even these cars back here that would be coming into the cul-de-sac are facing coming in, and this white one here, the black car before, then this one, the white SUV. Again, the only aberration here is the fucking suspect car. And I would suggest to you that that is not an accident. As I always tell you, one of the marks of conspiracy is when you have anomalies. That's an anomaly. That's an anomaly. That's an anomaly. We don't allow that. We don't allow it. That is an anomaly. Why is that the only car that's parked the wrong way in a suspicious event, which is the whole reason why we're doing this video, why we're all here, and lo and behold, this is the only car that's parked in the opposite. Look at the other cars across the way. You see? There, now we have the full cul-de-sac represented. And the only car parked fucked up is this one right here, or is the black car. So here's the white SUV that's right, by it or whatever. And then the suspect car, you see? And then all the paparazzi are all standing there. Nobody's looking for impact craters. Nobody's looking for building damage. Nobody's looking for anything. You see, this is some bullshit. .org. .net. Goddammit. This is bullshit. All while many thousands of innocent men, women, and babies are being deliberately and systematically slaughtered and exterminated by this white devil. They don't give a damn about human life. They can't be bothered with righteousness and truth. It's an inconvenience. They don't get into that. I remind you, these are not Jews. They're not even holy people. They are satanic, atheistic, blood-drinking, baby-murdering demons. Real Orthodox Jews have nothing to do with this band of serpents. Nothing to do with them. As I've shown you in previous piece, they attack Orthodox Jews when they go to Israel. They're literally attacked in the streets by police and soldiers and civilians. I brought you the actual video. We have receipts. We have them. We pray Allah that what has been done unto the Palestinians is done unto these serpents. This is our prayer. That they must know the suffering and the grief and the devastation of those whose lives they have destroyed and taken and exterminated. And they're doing it in broad daylight, with cameras rolling, with reckless abandon, disregard, no concern, can't be bothered. I always tell you, notice what is in front of you. Notice what is in front of you. We have nobody else out there out of breath. Everybody is standing around. And then on cue, they all moved in to circle this car and film just the car. We're not even trying to go through the gates and investigate this quote-unquote wall of shrapnel. Up and down the wall is the language that was used. That there's no investigating going on because there's nothing to investigate. This, like October 7th, did not fucking happen. No rocket hit this fucking thing or mortar or anything else. Somebody knocked out those two windows. That's the only way you get piles of glass directly beneath the fucking window that's broken. Some gunshots were used to add drama, and we'll call that shrapnel. Because the American public is dumb as fuck. They'll believe what we tell them. Doesn't matter what we show, it's what we say. He also proclaimed that you can see soldiers, plural, you could see soldiers are moving in. We saw one fucker right there in center screen that's meandering around. Just sort of wandering, no battalion of troops and soldiers. No brigade at all. One fucking car with some damage to it that is clearly deliberately inflicted for dramatic effect. That's all we have going on here. Nothing less. Nothing less. The only way this entire thing is going to come to a head is there's going to have to be more bloodshed. That's it. And it cannot come from the Palestinian side. They are desperate because they have no proof, because nothing ever fucking happened. But they have been murdering and slaughtering Palestinians for over 75 years. And in just the time that this hoax has been being perpetrated, nearly 10,000 innocent babies, women, and men have been slaughtered, executed by this white devil. There's no room in the hearts of any of the righteous to have any sympathy, concern, or compassion for these devils. Our prayers, our devotion, our allegiance is with the oppressed. There is no other choice. There are no other options. You are either on the side of righteousness or you are on the side of devils. You pick, and pick wisely. The Jedi has spoken.